About a year or so ago, I was running into a huge problem where I was filming so much content. I was constantly filling up the internal SSD on my MacBook Pro. I have a 14-inch 2021 MacBook with the M1 Max chip, and the 1 TB drive was just not cutting it. So after a lot of research, I discovered this SanDisk Professional Pro G40 external SSD. So I ended up buying the Pro G40, and I've been using it ever since as my daily driver for editing a ton of content. And in this video, this is going to be a more long-term review of this SSD because I have several new things I've learned about it after using it for so long. And I also just want to share my experiences with using this drive pretty much every single day for about half a year now. So I do have the 4 TB model of this, and I paid for this with my own money. SanDisk did not send me this drive. I bought it on my own. So what I love about this drive is that it uses Thunderbolt instead of USB as the interface for making sure that you get really fast transfer speeds on your Mac. And another thing I really like about this drive is it is designed for the professional in mind. So it does a really good job at dissipating heat, and it doesn't slow down or bog down as you're doing large file transfers. Whenever I'm moving 500 gigabytes onto this, it typically takes about 5 minutes, so I love the speed of the file transfers. The way I mostly use this is I will start a new Final Cut library, and I'll import all my footage on it, and I'll actually store the files in place. And then I move the library onto this drive, and I edit directly off of this drive with all my files on it, leave it plugged into my Mac for hours at a time. No issues at all shooting high quality 4K content. And now I'm even using 6K on the Lumix cameras as well. This is just working so great because I have up to 4 TB to use at once. So it works really well for both storing the source files and for editing off of it at the same time. And one of the things that's so great about this drive is that it doesn't bog down as you use it. Or if you're doing a large file transfer on some of the cheaper drives I've used in the past, I have had issues where the drive will start to slow down over time, which is always super annoying. This drive is supposed to be really rugged and durable. I just put it in my little tech bag in my backpack when I take it places. I've never dropped it. I've never spilled water on it or anything. So I can't tell just how durable this is, and I'm not going to throw it around either. But whenever you pick this up, you can definitely tell it has a really hefty feel to it. It just feels really rugged. Love the construction on this as well. This works great with Thunderbolt 3 or Thunderbolt 4 computers. And it's even backwards compatible with USB devices as well. So if you want to use it with a device that doesn't have Thunderbolt, this is still going to work just fine using that USB 3.1 standard as well, although you are going to get much slower speeds. This drive does get hot, but it has an aluminum core and it does a really good job at dissipating heat. I've never had it feel where it's dangerous to touch or anything like that, and I've never run into any issues with my performance of my computer slowing down after using this drive for a long time. So I typically use this for short-term and medium-term storage. If I'm working on a couple different projects at once, I'll have all of them on this ready to go. And then whenever I finish the project, I'll typically transfer them onto my G-RAID mirror, or I also have a LaCie 2 big RAID drive, and I use those for my archival purposes. And the reason I do that is just so I can keep this freed up where it's always ready for me to work off of, instead of using that valuable storage space up on old files I'm not using anymore. My initial speed test of the Pro G40 came in at about 2,600 megabytes a second on both the read and the write, and I found that that's held consistent even after using this for about half a year. What's really nice about this drive is that with pretty much any other external drive on a Mac, you're going to cap out at a maximum of about 950 megabytes a second on the read and the write, depending on what the drive. And some of these newer drives even say they support speeds of up to 2,000 megabytes a second, but that uses the USB 3.2 Gen 2 dual lane standard, which unfortunately Macs do not support that standard, and it's a little unclear if that's because of hardware limitations or Mac OS limitations. I have some docks that use Thunderbolt and then they give you USB dual lane ports on the Mac. I'm still not able to hit the faster speeds using those ports either. So to me, it seems like you just are never going to be able to take advantage of dual lane on Mac. So that's part of why you need to buy one of these Thunderbolt drives like the Pro G40. With these speeds, I'm able to move 500 gigabytes in about 5 minutes, which is super fast, especially for an external drive. I will say the biggest con of this drive, if you compare it directly to the internal drives on the M1 Max, then you're able to get about 5,000 to 6,000 megabytes a second on the read and write on those internal SSDs, which is going to be double the speed of what this is able to offer. But when you compare this to any other external storage offering at 950 megabytes a second, you see that this is about 3 times faster than that, and nothing else external is even going to come close to touching that on a Mac. Let's talk a little bit about price. A drive like this is pretty pricey, and the prices are all over the place depending on what sales are going on. I've seen them all over the place for the 4 TB models. Right now, the price of the 4 TB is about $420, so you're going to be able to get those super fast Pro G40 speeds if you buy this more expensive drive. If you compare this to a slower USB 3.2 drive like the Crucial X9 Pro, those come in at about $250 right now for a 4 TB model, so you're going to save quite a bit of money if you get that USB 3.2 drive, instead of buying one like this that uses Thunderbolt instead. So is it worth spending the extra money on? I definitely think it is, because first and foremost, this drive is going to give you way faster transfer speeds. You're going to save a lot of time over the life of the drive if you're moving a ton of big files around just by buying that Pro G40 drive. The next thing is a lot of the USB 3.2 drives really aren't designed with the pro user in mind. They're more supposed to be for people who are just looking for a faster drive to just offload some extra files. The Pro G40 is really designed for professionals with that rugged construction, the aluminum core, the drop resistance, just all those good features they have built in. And that's part of what makes this such a great drive to just use constantly when you're in your editing workflow. So the faster speeds and the professional design and longevity are why I would go for the Pro G40 instead of other drives on the market. You also do get a 5-year warranty with this drive, so that's part of the peace of mind of knowing this really is designed with a professional user in mind. So overall, over the last 6 months, I've been really happy with using the SanDisk Professional Pro G40. I've used this drive almost every day. I edit off it constantly, and I'm constantly moving files onto this drive and onto other external USB drives as well. And I've had no issues with it at all. I highly recommend buying this drive if you're looking for something that's fast, durable, and reliable. If you want to buy a Pro G40, I do have links in the description below. If you have any other questions about this drive, leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to answer them. Like this video, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any upcoming content.